Hello, my name's Sarita and I'm speaking to you today from Soulhenge, and I'm here to help you understand the truth about who you are. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about today is some tips and hints around meditating, because I had a question quite recently from a subscriber wondering if she was doing a meditation right or wrongly. And so I really wanted to share some information with you and some handy tips that I've picked up along, my long road of meditating. So the first thing I'd like to say to you, which is something that my teacher has always said to me, and it's the most amazing expression ever. And here it is. It's your fruit to pick. In other words, this is your journey. You are a sovereign being, and there is nothing that you can do that is wrong. If you can listen to yourself, that's the absolute be all and end all of everything, because I am only sharing my own experiences. I can give you all of these different meditations and ideas about how to meditate, and I really love doing that because my soul's purpose is to help people to understand the potential that's out there for them as vibrational beings. But all I am doing is I am guiding you on your journey. So I have things that have worked for me and I'll share them with you, but they may not work for you. And so when it comes to something like a guided visualization, you may be seeing something completely differently from how I'm describing it. And that's absolutely fine, because we are all different. As we all know, every single, human being, even twins, are completely unique. So that's the first thing. It's your fruit to pick. If I ever tell you, or anybody else does, something to do in a meditation and you feel like doing it differently, follow your own advice. You are your best advisor. And one of the reasons why we meditate is to come into a deeper understanding and connection with ourselves. This is what it's all about. It's about going within to find the deeper truth about who you are. So that's the first thing. It's your fruit to pick. And in that, there's no right and wrong. There are no right and wrong methods. Now, also with meditating, different meditations are going to work for different people. So some people are more visual. Some people prefer to listen to things. Some people like, doing that whole and not thinking about anything business. And that's why I offer so many different meditations, because different things work for different people, and you really can hone in what works for you. So, try everything and see what works for you. There may be people having magic cures using, I don't know, Joe Dispenza, but that might not work for you. You might need to go and do, Tibetan heart meditation, or you're better at, doing Om. It just really depends on you. And it's really important to listen to yourself in that respect. So another thing about meditation, which trips people up a lot, is that their mind wanders. Now, I've said this before in my videos, but I'm going to say it again. My mind wanders all of the time. I mean, I'm talking about, I don't know, it probably wanders 40 times in a minute. I've been meditating for years. I've been meditating nearly all my life, actually, since I was about 12, I guess, and really deeply for the last 5 years. I still find it difficult to hold my focus. Obviously, I get moments where I'm completely there and it's absolutely amazing, but coming into those, slower brainwave states like theta and alpha, until you get into those states, your mind is wandering, and that's completely normal. The art of meditation is actually noticing that your mind has wandered without judgment, and then bringing yourself back to the task in hand. So it really is a matter of noticing, oh, my mind's wandered, come back. Oh, it's wandered, come back. Oh, it's wandered, come back. And when I say wandered, that also means things like thinking, oh, this is never going to work, or my left toe is itching, or you hear a noise and it completely distracts you, or of course the phone goes the minute you start to meditate, or your back really starts aching. All of those things are essentially your resistance to deepening your meditation. And in that resistance, they're an opportunity for you to deepen your meditation. So every time your mind wanders, Just bring yourself back to the task in hand. And it's really important that you don't judge yourself, because when you judge yourself, that is a very egoic response. So the first thing you're doing is you're pulling yourself straight back into your cranial brain, which is egoic and is a fear-based survival mechanism. So the minute you judge yourself, you're overthinking something, and you've gone straight back into that brain. And also it's likely to take you down a rabbit hole, and you'll be thinking about how rubbish you are, for 3 minutes before you suddenly realize you're in a meditation. You're supposed to be meditating. So don't ever judge yourself. It's not necessary. And the less you judge yourself, the easier it's going to be. Meditating is a practice. And that's why it's really good to have a daily practice, because you could do this. So for example, Tibetan heart meditation, I've been doing that for a long time now, I don't know, a couple of years. And I do it nearly every day. I have a lot of meditation practices because I love meditating. But that's one of my sort of solid intrinsic practices. And it's so amazing because every single time I do it, every single day, it's different, and it teaches me something new, and it teaches me to focus my mind, and that allows me to be more focused in my normal day-to-day third dimensional reality. And so that's why it's really good to have a practice every single day, because it teaches you to focus your mind. It brings you into less judgment about yourself. Okay, so now having said all that, I'm going to give you a few tips about when to meditate and how you could be sitting when you're meditating. So the first tip I'm going to give you is it's better to meditate first thing in the morning or last thing at night. And that's because your brain waves are moving from delta into theta, into alpha, so you're basically moving from the deep meditative states of sleep into your beta brainwave state, which is when you're awake. And it's much easier to meditate when you're in alpha or theta states. And so those are really good times, because obviously at night you've got melatonin arriving in your brain and you're moving in to those deep meditative states naturally. So it's easier to meditate. And obviously when you wake up, you're coming out of those brainwave states. And so it's easier to meditate. And also on another note, if you actually have the choice of either of those, I would meditate in the morning, because when you create your day, when you set yourself up for having a good day by coming into the present moment or breathing through your heart or whatever your meditation practice might be, you're just going to have a better day. You know what it's like when you get out of, so let's say you've had bad dreams, and then what happens is it's just like a roller coaster effect, isn't it? You get out of bed, you trip, you bang your toe, then your child is being really stubborn and you have an argument, and then the car won't start and whatever. It's really easy to start your day off on a bad note. And similarly, it's really simple to set yourself up in a good way. And once you set yourself up in a good way, you tend to have an amazing day. I do, and I've noticed that with my students. A lot of them now get up early in the morning so that they're in this state of being before they start their day, and then the whole day is just beautiful for them. And that makes a really big difference in your life if you can have day after day after day where you're contributing to your own well-being and beginning your day like that. So that's the first thing. And then I always talk about position when you're meditating. Now, on the whole, my meditations tend to be active meditations. So we're doing things in our meditations, and that's because they work better for me. And I'm just one of those people that likes having purpose in my life, and I'm a bit of a doer. But also I've started doing a lot of meditating where I'm just emptying my mind. And when you're doing active meditations or emptying your mind meditations, if you can, and you are not constrained by injury, it is much better to sit up and meditate. And one of the primary reasons for that is because you don't want to fall asleep, because obviously you're moving your brain waves back into the states that we associate with sleep. So when you first start meditating, and a lot of people have this, they start meditating and they find themselves like this. You know, they're kind of nodding off. And that's actually a really good sign because it shows you're moving into alpha and theta states. It's a really good indication that you've slowed your brain waves down. And if you're sitting up, what will happen is your head nodding will wake you up. If you were lying down, you just go straight into a lovely sleep. But if your head's nodding, then it's giving you that awareness that you're actually meditating. And after a while, your head won't nod. It won't be the predetermined state that you'll get into. After a while, your body will just know it's meditating, and that's what it will do. But obviously, if you're doing a meditation where if you're constrained by injury, or you're doing a meditation to put yourself to sleep or to really relax, then obviously lying down is always going to be the way to go. And there are also different kinds of meditations, and I haven't shared them with you here because they're quite difficult to do over video, but I'm probably going to try. There are things like walking meditations, and those are really interesting to do. And they're more about mindfulness, in fact. So you could even drive your car mindfully or be in a meditative state as you're going about your day, doing your washing up and things like that. And those are great practices to do. They're kind of active meditation practices. So that's the thing about posture. I would always, always recommend that you sit up. But obviously you need to make sure that your spine is straight, because you can imagine you've got your energy centers going through your body, and it depends what system I primarily work in the Western system, but the Eastern system, most people traditionally know, it's the chakra system. But basically, they're all aligned up the center of your body. And you've all seen those pictures of the two snakes, which look like the DNA strands that go up the center of your spine. And so when you're working with energy, which is what meditation is essentially doing, consciousness, whether you're doing breathing or expanding your consciousness, you're working with the energy field within your body. And so if you're straight, you're going to get more flow within your body. And that's what we're all after. We're all after moving energy around our body, and primarily, depending the technique you're doing, up your spine and into your different energy centers. So it's just better to be sitting up straight. So you need to be in a kind of relaxed posture, but upright. And the last tip I would give you about meditating is it's important to have a specific place, if you can, where you meditate. Now, I would actively discourage people from meditating in bed, because unless you absolutely have to and you don't have a choice, or you're ill, and you're trying to get well or something. But basically, intention is massively important, not just for meditating, but in every aspect of our lives, because intention is everything. You're a being that's manifesting in every moment, and your intention is what's creating your thoughts and then your feelings, which lead to manifested reality. So intention is everything. And if your intention is to meditate, and you do this in bed, you're also in a space where the intention of that space is to sleep. So you've got these two contradictory things going on. So I would actively discourage meditating in bed unless you can't help it. And then the other thing is that more and more science is discovering that you can create intentional space. And I have found that massively here at Soulhenge, because we always meditate with my groups in two different places, and those two places are off the scale powerful, because I've had so many people meditating in those spaces that the energetic field, the intentional space that we're all in, is supercharged. And you'll find that if you pick one place or one or two places where you do your meditations, you do your daily practice, you're going to find that your meditations deepen and they become more supersonic. And even scientists are finding out now that they can create intentional spaces for their experiments. There's a super duper scientist whose name I can't remember, and I don't even understand most of what he says. I think I understand about one word in 50 because he's so off the scale. Anyway, he's working with scalar waves and intention. He's created an intention machine, which I don't understand how that works. But what he's found out is that his experiments work differently if he's in an intentional space. So if he's set up a space with intention and runs an experiment, it will have a different outcome than if he runs the experiment somewhere else that he hasn't used before without setting an intention. So that's really interesting to note. Intention is everything, and that includes your intentional meditating space. So I hope those tips have been helpful, and I wish you continuing joy with your meditation practice. Thanks for listening.